Picture this. You've just been blindsided by someone you trusted. Maybe it was a business partner who stabbed you in the back, a friend who spread your secrets, or a lover who left you when you needed them most. The humiliation is raw. Betrayal stings. You feel exposed, weak, and alone. In that moment, it's as if the world itself is conspiring to break you. Most men have been there, whether they admit it or not. Some never recover. They spiral into self-pity, bitterness, or quiet resignation, letting that one moment define the rest of their lives. But a rare few men you notice, men you respect, men you fear emerge from the ashes not just unbroken, but stronger, colder, and more powerful than before. What separates these men from the rest? Is it luck, genetics? Or is there a hidden code? A set of ruthless mental tactics that the powerful use to turn pain into fuel and setbacks into stepping stones? This is the question that has haunted ambitious men for centuries. Machiavelli, the master of power and strategy, saw the answer with chilling clarity. He who cannot master his mind will be mastered by the world. In other words, the world will break everyone, but only those who learn to control their minds can bend reality to their will. If you've ever wondered why some men seem untouchable, why they rise higher after every defeat while others are left behind, you're about to discover the truth. This isn't about empty motivation or feel-good platitudes. This is about the cold, hard laws of mental power, the same principles that shaped emperors, CEOs, and legends. Most men will never know these secrets. Most will remain slaves to their emotions, forever at the mercy of life's storms. But if you're ready to see the world as it truly is, and to become the kind of man who cannot be broken, keep watching. The game is about to change. When life hits hard, most men fall into the same predictable pattern. They react. They lash out in anger, drown in self-pity, or broadcast their pain to anyone who will listen. Picture a man who's just been humiliated at work. Maybe his idea was shot down in front of everyone, or he was blamed for a failure that wasn't his fault. His first instinct is to defend himself, to argue, to vent his frustration to friends. Or online, he seeks comfort, validation, and sympathy, hoping someone will tell him he's right and the world is wrong. But in doing so, he's already lost. Society encourages this weakness. From a young age, men are taught to open up, to share their feelings, to seek support at every turn. On the surface, it sounds healthy, but beneath it lies a dangerous trap. The more you depend on others for emotional rescue, the less control you have over your own mind. You become easy to read, easy to predict, and easy to manipulate. Every outburst, every complaint, every tear is a signal to the world that you can be broken. The predators, those who understand power, are always watching for these cracks. Contrast this with the Machiavellian approach. The man who understands power does not react impulsively. He does not hand his emotions to the crowd or beg for validation. Instead, he observes. He processes pain in silence, using it as data, as fuel, as leverage. He knows that every emotional reaction is a surrender of power, a public admission that someone else controls his state of mind. The Machiavellian man refuses to give anyone that satisfaction. The hidden cost of emotional slavery is enormous. Each time you let your feelings dictate your actions, you reinforce the chains that keep you average. You become a puppet, pulled by the strings of circumstance and opinion. The world is full of men who never escape this trap. Men who are forever defined by their wounds, their failures, their need for approval. If you recognize yourself in this, understand. You are not alone, but you are vulnerable. The first step to power is seeing the trap for what it is, and deciding, once and for all, to break free. Machiavelli understood something that most men never grasp. The mind is the ultimate battlefield, and the man who can detach himself from his emotions holds the keys to power. Emotional detachment isn't about being numb or robotic. It's about mastering the art of self-control so completely that your feelings never betray you. This is Machiavelli's cold law of mental power. Never let your emotions show, and never let them dictate your actions. The world is a stage, and every man is being watched, measured, and tested. The moment you reveal weakness, you give others a weapon to use against you. Why does emotional detachment command such respect? The answer lies in psychology. Most people are ruled by their feelings. They react to slights, insults, and setbacks with visible frustration or anger. This predictability makes them easy to manipulate. But when you suppress visible emotion, you become an enigma. Rivals can't read you. They can't tell if you're hurt, angry, or plotting your next move. This uncertainty unsettles them. It forces them to second-guess themselves, to hesitate, to wonder what you're really thinking. In a world where most men are open books, the man who keeps his cards close to his chest becomes a force to be reckoned with. History is filled with men who embodied this law. Take Napoleon Bonaparte, for example. In the heat of battle, when chaos reigned and lesser men panicked, Napoleon was known for his icy calm. His officers watched him for cues, and his enemies feared his composure. He understood that a single display of fear or doubt could ripple through his ranks and shatter morale. By remaining detached, he projected invincibility, even when the odds were against him. Julius Caesar was another master of emotional control. When betrayed by his closest allies, he didn't lash out or show pain. Instead, he calculated his response, turning betrayal into an opportunity for greater power. His ability to act strategically rather than impulsively made him both respected and feared. These men weren't born with superhuman strength. They trained themselves to rise above their emotions, to see every setback as a move in a larger game. True strength is not the absence of feeling, but the ability to act with clarity and purpose, regardless of what you feel. The Machiavellian man uses his emotions as tools, not shackles. He channels anger into focus, pain into motivation, and fear into preparation. He never lets the world see him bleed. This is the foundation of all power, the ability to remain unmoved when others are shaken, to act with intention when others are lost in reaction. If you want to command respect, unsettle your rivals, and shape your own destiny, you must master this law. The world will always test you, but only you decide how you respond. Building an unbreakable mind isn't a matter of luck or genetics. It's a deliberate process, forged through discipline and ruthless self-honesty. Most men will never do the work. They'll read about mental toughness, nod in agreement, and then fall back into old patterns the moment life tests them. But if you want to rise above the average, you need a set of tactical strategies that you can deploy in real time, especially when the pressure is on. Here's how you start. First, conduct an emotional audit. This is the foundation of all mental power. Set aside your ego and ask yourself, what situations trigger me? Who gets under my skin? When do I lose control? Write these down, don't sugarcoat it. Maybe it's public criticism, being ignored, or feeling outperformed by a rival. Most men avoid this level of self-examination because it's uncomfortable. But if you don't know your weaknesses, you'll never be able to defend them. The emotional audit is about shining a light on the dark corners of your mind so you can fortify them before the world exploits them. Next, master the cold pause. This is the tactical delay between stimulus and response. When something provokes you, a snide comment, a setback, a betrayal, your instinct is to react immediately. Don't. Instead, force yourself to pause. Count to 5 in your head. Breathe. Let the initial surge of emotion pass. This moment of silence is where power is born. The cold pause gives you time to assess the situation, choose your response, and deny your adversaries the satisfaction of seeing you flinch. Over time, this habit rewires your brain. making you less reactive and more strategic. Now, reframe pain as a test of worth. Every setback, every insult, every failure is an opportunity to prove to yourself and to the world that you cannot be broken. When you encounter pain, ask, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this? Instead of seeing adversity as a curse, view it as a rite of passage. The world is constantly testing men, separating the strong from the weak. Most will fail these tests and retreat into comfort. But the few who embrace pain as a challenge will emerge sharper, harder, and more respected. Finally, use adversity as a training ground for dominance. Every difficult situation is a chance to practice your tactics. Imagine you've just been passed over for a promotion at work. The average man complains, blames others, or gives up. The Machiavellian man runs an emotional audit. Why does this sting? What fear or insecurity is being triggered? He deploys the cold pause, refusing to react in the moment. He reframes the setback. This is my test. If I can handle this with composure, I'll be stronger for the next round. Then, he uses the experience to sharpen his strategy, studying what went wrong, identifying who holds the real power, and planning his next move with cold precision. Here's the truth. Most men will never master these skills. They'll stay trapped in emotional slavery, forever reacting, forever average. But if you commit to these tactics, if you audit your emotions, pause before you act, reframe pain, and use adversity as fuel, you'll become the kind of man who cannot be broken. The world will notice, your rivals will feel it, and you'll start to see every challenge not as a threat, but as an invitation to rise. This is the path to true mental power, and it's open only to those willing to do what others won't. Pain is inevitable. Every man, no matter how strong or successful, will face moments of loss, betrayal, and humiliation. The difference between the average and the exceptional is not in the pain itself, but in what they do with it. Most men let pain define them. They become prisoners of their wounds, using every setback as an excuse for why they can't move forward. But the Machiavellian mind sees pain differently. He sees it as raw material, fuel to be burned, not a chain. To be worn, to weaponize pain, you must first reject the victim mindset. This is non-negotiable. The world is full of men who wear their scars like badges of defeat, constantly reminding themselves and others of how they've been wronged. Seek sympathy, hoping someone will rescue them from their misery. But sympathy is a drug that weakens resolve. The Machiavellian man uses his scars as armor. He doesn't hide them, but he never lets them become excuses. Every scar is a reminder of what he survived, and a warning to others that he's not easily broken. History is filled with men who turned their deepest wounds into their greatest weapons. Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln. Before he became one of the most revered leaders in history, Lincoln faced a string of crushing defeats, failed businesses, repeated political losses, and the death of loved ones. Each setback could have ended him. But instead of folding, Lincoln used his pain as motivation. He became relentless, channeling his suffering into a steely determination that made him unstoppable. When the nation was on the brink of collapse, it was Lincoln's resilience, honed by years of hardship, that held everything together. Or look at modern examples. Think of men like Robert Downey Jr., who was nearly destroyed by addiction and public disgrace. Instead of letting his failures define him, he rebuilt himself, using the memory of his lowest moments as a source of drive and discipline. Today, he's not just respected for his talent, but for his ability to rise from the ashes. Proof that pain, when harnessed, can become a superpower. The psychological edge gained by those who refuse to be victims is immense. When you stop seeing pain as a curse and start seeing it as a weapon, you become unpredictable. Your enemies can't use your past against you because you've already turned it into strength. You become the man who grows sharper with every Blow who welcomes adversity as a chance to evolve. This mindset is rare, and it's why so few ever reach the highest levels of power. But if you can master it, you'll find that every setback, every betrayal, every loss is just another tool in your arsenal. A stepping stone to dominance that others will never understand. Mental strength isn't just an internal advantage. It radiates outward, shaping how others perceive and respond to you. In any social or professional environment, the man who displays stoic control instantly commands attention. He's the one who remains calm when tempers flare, who doesn't flinch when challenged, and who never reveals desperation or anxiety. This unshakable presence is magnetic. People instinctively defer to him, sensing that he's not easily rattled or manipulated. The signals of stoic control are subtle but unmistakable. It's the steady eye contact that never wavers, the relaxed posture even in tense moments, the measured tone of voice that refuses to rise with the chaos. Most powerful of all is the strategic use of silence. When others expect a reaction, anger, defensiveness, or panic, the stoic man simply waits. His silence unsettles adversaries, forcing them to fill the void with their own uncertainty. In negotiations, confrontations, or public settings, this ability to remain composed is a weapon. It projects confidence and dominance without a single word. Contrast this with the weak man, whose insecurity is always on display. He fidgets, avoids eye contact, and rushes to fill every silence with nervous chatter. When challenged, he over-explains or becomes visibly agitated, signaling to everyone that he's out of his depth. These behaviors mark him as prey in the social hierarchy, someone to be dismissed, ignored, or exploited. To project dominance in high-pressure situations, practice the art of the controlled pause. When confronted, take a breath before responding. Hold your ground physically. Then single quotes shrink or fidget. Speak slowly and deliberately, choosing your words with care. And above all, embrace silence as a tool. Let others reveal their intentions, while you remain unreadable. Over time, these habits will become second nature, and you'll find that people begin to treat you differently. With more respect, more caution, and often a hint of fear. This is the social power of stoic control, and it belongs to those who master their minds. Most men sabotage their own power without even realizing it. The most common mistake is seeking sympathy, broadcasting your struggles in hopes of comfort or validation. This might feel good in the moment, but it signals weakness to everyone watching. Venting emotions publicly, whether through angry outbursts, social media rants, or desperate confessions, only amplifies the effect. You become easy to read, easy to manipulate, and easy to dismiss. Another fatal error is letting setbacks define your identity. Instead of seeing failure as a temporary challenge, weak men internalize it, wearing their wounds like a permanent badge. This mindset traps them in a cycle of self-doubt and mediocrity. In the social hierarchy, these behaviors mark you as prey, someone to be pitied, ignored, or exploited by those who understand power. Here's the hard truth. If you fall into these traps, you'll never escape mediocrity. The world is ruthless, and it rewards those who project strength, not vulnerability. If you want to rise, you must break these habits now. Most men never will, and that's exactly why they stay average. Mental toughness isn't built in a single moment of crisis. It's forged through daily discipline. The strongest men in history didn't wait for adversity to test them. They trained their minds every day, preparing for whatever the world might throw their way. If you want to harden your mind, you need rituals that reinforce resilience and self-mastery. Start with morning cold exposure. Whether it's a cold shower or a brisk walk in the early chill, this simple act forces you to confront discomfort first thing in the day. It's a physical reminder that you can choose discipline over comfort, setting the tone for everything that follows. Next, make journaling emotional triggers a daily habit. Each evening, write down moments when you felt anger, jealousy, or insecurity. Analyze what triggered you and how you responded. Over time, you'll spot patterns and weaknesses, giving you the power to address them before they become liabilities. Practice the cold pause in minor conflicts. When someone cuts you off in traffic or a colleague makes a snide remark, resist the urge to react. Pause, breathe, and let the emotion pass. These small moments are training for bigger battles. Finally, visualize adversity as a test. Each morning, imagine a challenge you might face and see yourself handling it with composure and strategy. This mental rehearsal builds confidence and prepares you to act with intention when real adversity strikes. Adopt these rituals, and you'll find your mind growing stronger, your reactions sharper, and your presence more commanding. Most men will never do this work, but those who do become unbreakable. Life will break everyone at some point, but only the ruthless rise stronger. The difference is not in what happens to you, but in how you respond. Embrace Machiavelli's law. Master your mind, or be mastered by the world. Refuse to let pain, setbacks, or betrayal define you. Start building your mental power today. Adopt the rituals, practice the tactics, and become the man who cannot be broken. Remember, the world is always watching, and only the strong will rule. The choice is yours. Will you remain average, or will you rise above?